Hello, I'm Robin Smith, trauma and relationship coach, and welcome to my YouTube channel or my Facebook group or wherever you're watching. I am here to answer your questions that I received recently for my Ask Robin teaching about your relationship challenges. And so today we're going to be talking about how do you move forward when you don't feel like your partner is growing and evolving as much as you are, for one. And then what to do when you have a family member who's not responsive and doesn't want to reciprocate, doesn't seem to want to hang out with you when you are initiating. And thirdly, how to recover from a really difficult breakup when you've been gaslighted, when you've been betrayed. So let's dive in and I'll be answering these questions. So the first question came from Teresa in my Facebook group, and what she's looking for support with is what to do when you are doing the work and growing, but he is not. So put a yes in the comment if you've been in a situation like this yourself, or you are in one right now, where you're doing a lot of inner work, you find yourself evolving, learning a lot. Maybe you're taking more responsibility. Maybe you're not arguing as much. Maybe you're seeing your part and naming it, but your partner isn't. And maybe they're still in the blame game with you or getting really defensive or whatever they're doing. It doesn't seem to be changing. So I'm guessing there might be something like that going on here. And how do you move forward with this? How do you proceed? And especially when you're in a committed relationship and you have children together. So my first question for Teresa, is your partner open to counseling with you? Because when someone is, there's some hope that at least they're saying yes to getting support. And I think couples counseling can go a long way, or I do couples coaching, and that can go a long way in helping you to understand each other, to understand your needs and your fears and your desires and your boundaries. And these things need to be talked about and need to be heard in order to feel like you've got a decent connection. Maybe your partner is available for watching a training video with you, a teaching video, like one of these videos that I share here on my channel. Or maybe they're interested or willing to read a book with you or to watch a movie with you that you think can be inspiring, or a documentary. So sometimes they're willing to go some places, but not others. I know when I was on my growth journey, especially diving deep, I started seeing our differences and kind of getting scared that we weren't going to make it because I was growing so much. And I started to judge my partner more. And I also started to pressure him to learn with me. And that didn't go very well because he was feeling the judgment and he was feeling my criticism and the pressure. And he just put up some boundaries around that. But for me, fortunately for me, a couple of things, he was willing to attend some workshops with me. So I thought that was really helpful. At least we could get more on the same page with what I was learning. And part of why he was willing to do that is because I backed off on the pressure, like, you have to do this, or you need to change, or, you're not getting this, or you're not doing it right. So when I stopped judging him so much, he was more available to kind of hear me and to learn and want to learn what I was learning. So that's something I definitely recommend. And also, if you can, share what you're wanting with him. Share not necessarily how you want him to change, because sometimes people are really defensive, and they may have had a lot of criticism in the past, received a lot of criticism in the past, and so they receive it as criticism or an attack and they get defensive. But if you share in a really a way of taking responsibility and simply sharing what you want for yourself, how you want to be heard, or how you want to be able to communicate without doing any finger pointing, it will probably help your partner to feel more relaxed in your presence, less on the defense. And potentially more open to learning with you, or learning something that they want to learn, or seeing their part. So those are some ideas that I have for you, but especially to share, what you're going through, what you're learning for yourself. Because sometimes when you break down those walls and simply get vulnerable and share, about your feelings, whether it's sadness or anger or fear, or your hopes or your frustrations or whatever is going on without any finger pointing, any blame, then you might find that your partner can be available for that, to really hold space for you. And it might show them what's possible and kind of inspire them to want to do the same, to be more vulnerable with you in their own way. So those are some ideas for you. And I totally get this is a hard one. I know many women especially tend to be more on the personal growth path than their male partners, and that can create more distance. And if you sincerely want to see yourselves stay together, I would talk about that. I would talk about your fears about that, talk about your desires about that. So I hope that's helpful. And I'm going to move on to the next one. So the next one is Nancy, who's writing in about her desire to connect with her 29-year-old niece, who has been rather unresponsive. So she says, I have a niece who's 29 years old, and every time I invite her to do something with me, I get the response of maybe another time. I want to feel at peace, but sometimes I feel like giving up. I feel like she doesn't want to spend any time with me, and maybe I just need to be okay with that. So again, put a yes or a me too in the comment if you can relate to that. I can relate to that. I have a niece who hasn't been very responsive to me, and we only have contact if I reach out. So I do get that, and I've supported others who have similar situations. So I definitely know you're not alone, and I want to send a lot of love and compassion to your heart and to whatever feelings you're having about this. So that would be just a number one place to start for you, is to get some clarity and to get some ownership around what are you feeling, and to give yourself some compassion for that, because this is a tough one too. It can be sad, and it can be scary and lonely when you're really wanting connection and you're not getting it from somebody who you want it from. So that's a good place to start. And as far as your niece goes and like how to proceed, I tend to think that actions do speak louder than words. If you've reached out several times and you keep getting the same response, it's probably not like you're making up too much of a lie when you say, it seems like she doesn't want to spend time with me. That could be true. And often younger folks just don't want to hang out with older folks. And, we do need to accept that it's like, you're not the way I want to hang out. And I had to do some accepting of that too. So you kind of do need to be in the place of assuming based on what's happening, if you're not willing to directly ask and just simply say, I'd love to spend more time with you. Are you interested in that? And so it's open. It's not asking for a specific time, but just ask, and you could say something like, would you be interested in having phone calls once in a while to catch up? Or, just see if there is a way that does work for her, or if she's, willing to be honest with you about her desire or lack thereof. I know that's a tricky one. She may not be honest, but so those are some thoughts. So either you go direct or you make it up, right? You make up the story that she's not interested. And I totally get, you may want to give up. So some thoughts and some of my own experiences as I have backed off and I just allow things to occur more naturally, like when we're already a family gathering or I'm visiting in town or something like that. I don't know if you live in the same town already, but I just ask for, let me take you out for a drink. I know she likes her alcohol, so I'll just invite her to do something I know she'd like. And that way I've got her to myself and we have a conversation. So I don't try and reach out often, but just when it's convenient or when it's already kind of happening anyway in a family circumstance, so that there's some thoughts there. But it does seem like if she's not going to reciprocate and be willing to schedule something with you, then there is some acceptance and letting go that does need to happen for you, that you're not going to get exactly what you want with her. And if you can tune into what can you get? Like I was saying, is there something less that you can that can be okay? Occasional phone calls or video chats, or maybe you take her out, like I say, to do something she wants to do. Something like that might work. Or maybe you just keep showing her that you're there and that you care and that you're, interested in being a part of her support network. And it might be that she comes around and it might be that she doesn't. We don't know. But, there is really only so much you can do, right? We can't control other people's actions and words and things like that. So all you can do is do your best to work with your own sadness and grief around this, around not getting what you want and the loss of that, and then be in practice working with acceptance about what you can have, or maybe that you just let go of the relationship. So I certainly can't give you advice exactly on what to do around that, but you get to decide like where, what feels doable given the circumstances that you have. So I hope you find that helpful, and I wish you the very best, and I'd love to know how that goes for you. And we're going to move on to the third question or comment, which is, I'm struggling to find peace after a breakup, being cheated and betrayed and gaslighted and hurt in so many ways. This is a healing process, but I need your advice. And she says, I have difficulty with self-love and acceptance of the past and living in the present. It feels so painful and sad every day that I barely even know how to live with this feeling. So, wow, I totally appreciate your honesty around this and your vulnerability here with me and in our group. And I really hear how heartbreaking it is, or and hard it is to just recover from that. It sounds like you're really raw. And so I would say, first of all, give yourself a hug from me and give yourself a hug to you for this hard time that you're going through. No one has an easy time with something like that. That sounds really, really painful, like you said. And also, I would congratulate you. And so I hope you can congratulate yourself on getting out of the relationship. I don't know if you initiated that, but it sounds like it's really good that you're not in it because it was really unhealthy. So take a moment to appreciate that that is true, that you're not in the relationship anymore, and that you're aware that you have some work to do. And that's really important because you don't want to end up doing this again. So again, really, I think really helpful and part of the healing process to appreciate where you have gotten to and the effort of getting out of the relationship. I would also really suggest that you get some deeper support. So beyond putting a note in the Facebook group where you did, and I love that you did that, but really seek someone who can be there for you, like a counselor or a coach. And I do this type of work with people all the time. But find someone who you resonate with, who you feel like can hold your hand through this process, because I believe you that you're in a process. And I think that's a good state to approach it from, like, I'm in a process. This is not an end place where you're stopping, but you're growing. And if you do the work and the inner work around this, you will grow and you will get to a better place. And ideally, you won't be in this situation ever again. So that's, what I hope for you is that you get the support you need to get to a much better place for yourself. And I would be gentle with yourself. I wouldn't expect yourself to be peaceful right now. You said you want peace around this, and it's going to just take it whatever time it takes to find your peace with, whatever happened there that got you in that situation. So part of the work is, like you said already, and I love that you're aware of this, is learning to love yourself and your journey. So and I love the insight that you're having around this, because it seems, at least from my experience, that is part of when we don't have a positive and healthy relationship with ourselves, we're more likely to get into unhealthy relationships with others. So the more you can heal your relationship with yourself, to love yourself, accept yourself, appreciate yourself, give yourself a lot of compassion and so much more. There's so many layers here, but that's a great start. The more you can do that, the more likely you are to get into healthier relationships with all your relationships in your life. And I see as a real cornerstone to having healthy relationships. So I'm really glad you're onto that and you're looking at that. And to keep loving all of who you are. So to love the part that ended up in that relationship, that maybe didn't know how to get out, or whatever happened for you there, that maybe you're not proud of, whatever you did or said, or whatever occurred, to see if you can maybe not love, but accept that happened, and that you did the best you could, and as you grow and evolve, you would make different choices. And that's what growth is about. All of us have regret. All of us feel some shame for what happened in the past. But the more we can accept and love ourselves for our journey and not be so self-critical and judgmental and self-shaming, then we just start to feel lighter and better about ourselves. And then we call in those healthier relationships. So loving and accepting your past behavior, your choices, your feelings, your sadness, your anger, your fear, your regret, just give some love and compassion to all of that. And that's what can actually take you quite a long way on your healing journey. And then lastly, I would really support you, and again, with the help, ideally, of a professional who can help you to look inside a little deeper into what happened, that you ended up in an unhealthy relationship like that. But to look at and get curious about, what was your part in being there? Were there red flags that you denied, or were you not listening to your own intuition, or were you not loving and accepting yourself to get, to this place where you were betrayed? I know we can't control someone else's behavior, and betrayal happens even if we're the most wonderful, loving, kind, and generous person, unfortunately. But sometimes, and often, there are signs here and there and things that we just kind of turned a blind eye to. So if there's anything like that, I just really want to encourage you to just put on your binoculars and start looking without judgment and without being critical of yourself. So I hope that's been helpful. Please reach out if you need more support around this. And if you are someone who would like your hand held and would like my support, or at least is curious about what that would look like, I strongly encourage you to schedule a relationship breakthrough session with me, where we can have a free session, about 30 to 45 minutes, of looking at what you are struggling with, where you want to be, and what the gap is in there, and how I might be able to support you in closing that gap. It's a rich session where I give you a lot of insight, and you often will walk away with something clear that you can take away and use. And if you do want to work together, we can certainly talk about that. So go to the link below or the description below to see that link for the relationship breakthrough session. And again, it's complimentary, it's on Zoom, and I would be honored to meet with you there. Thanks for watching, everyone, and please leave any comments or questions, and if you'd like any questions answered for the next video. And please be sure to like and subscribe if you're watching me on YouTube. Take care.